son when his son was a teenager, and they visited the town of his maternal grandparents. So that must have been very enjoyable. Now I'd like to introduce Al Davis. Al Davis told me about some trips he went on. One of the trips was to Machu Picchu in Peru, and that really stands out in his mind. Thank you.
We've all heard the expression that travel broadens one. There was a time in world history, at least in European history, where a young man was not really considered educated until he took the Grand Tour. This didn't apply to women, unfortunately, but it applied to men. And the Grand Tour involved seeing the resplendence of the great wonders of the ancient world, starting with the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Colossus at Rhodes, the Temple of Athena, and I can't remember the other three. But that's really fallen into disfavor since most of those wonders of the world aren't around anymore, among other things. I was doing a little reading on this in this book called The New York Post, which of course is in this magazine, found online, which of course is a primary source of research for me. But they noted that 11% of the respondents to their particular poll had never been outside of the state that they live in, which I thought was amazing. 54% had never been outside of had never been in more than 10 states. I remember an experience of myself when I was driving across the country. I was getting gas in some little town in, I don't even remember where it was, Nebraska. And I'm talking to the gas station attendant. The gas station was the town, by the way, and the post office and everything. And I said, "Have you ever been to overseas?" He said, "No, I've never been out of this town." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, everything I want is right here." Okay. So today I'm going to be asking people who do not have a role. Who does not have a role at this point? To speak on a couple of things. Echo, are you technically a member yet?
Me? Yeah, after today I will be.
Okay, well we'll bring you up to that. Preview of coming attractions. This is table topics. Could you speak 1 to 2 minutes on the following subject? If I can find it. The most unusual trip that you have ever been on.
Thank you so much. The most unusual trip. Okay, so I remember in 2015, I had a relationship issue. I broke up with my girlfriend and I was devastated, very bad. I decided to take a trip, unknowingly, unplanned, nothing. I just decided to take a trip from the southern part of Ghana, that's where I'm from, all the way to the north, slept there for a night, drowned myself in sorrow and tears, and then I drove all the way back. And it took me 48 hours driving all the way up and then driving all the way down. And then I did it all alone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was a very unusual trip that I did. Yeah. Thank you.
Aileen, can you come up and describe the funniest, most humorous event that happened while traveling?
Does it have to be PG?
No. If people want to be offended, they can be offended.
So I only have 2 minutes though, right? All right, so when my husband was alive, he was not my favorite person to travel with because he had ADD. So I often traveled with my girlfriend, and I went on one of these destination cruises where the boat sails at night, and every day you wake up in a new place. So we went to Amsterdam, where you could legally have drugs. So we went into a place that had hashish brownies. And we got several hashish brownies. And we brought them back on the boat, so presumably that was still safe because we're in international waters. And they were very strong and they were very good. And we made these friends that the guy was, I don't know, I was much younger. He's probably 70 and he had a beautiful wife. She was maybe 60. And my girlfriend and I were out on the deck of the boat during one of these days where you're just at sail, and we were really happy. And his wife, who was from Australia, said, "What are you two on?" And we said, "Oh, well, we have these brownies." And she said, "Oh, that sounds so fabulous." And then the guy, whose name was Joe, said, "I would like some." And she said, "His children made me promise I would not let him get sick, and so I don't want him to." And Jeremy said, "You're refusing a dying man one of his wishes?" And so we went and got him some brownies. And so then we didn't see them for 2 days, and then when we met them again, we were having dinner with them, and we said, "Well, so how was it?" And she said, "I haven't thought about sex for 10 years." And he said, "Well, I had to take a Viagra." So that's my funniest one.
Nobody wants to shake my hand when they leave up here. I don't know why.
Oh, I have a cold. You should be
Oh,
happy.
thank you.
Yeah.
Brendan,
Yes.
when
You can also the timer.
and they have to. Brendan, could you describe a trip you took where the people you met were more meaningful or more exciting, or however you want to describe it, than the destination you went to? Is this on? Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Yes. I have to pick one. I've been to lots of different places. I'll describe the South of America, not South America, South of America, Southern United States. I was going to go international, but I can't pick just one, so I'll just stay with it domestic. I think they call it Southern charm or Southern hospitality. So if you're going to the South, and I've been to the Southern Appalachians, or the Great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, and recently I went to North Carolina, but I went to more towards the coast. But I've also been to Georgia, all sorts of places where there are cotton fields, beautiful country. But you can't help but say, "Thank y'all for being here, y'all, and everything to your liking, y'all. Y'all want ice in your cup? Y'all want more tea? More iced tea? Y'all don't want coffee? Y'all fine? Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all." I mean, you go to see all these places, but you come back from the South, and it's like, why don't we speak like this up here? They're nice, they're polite, and why would we want to speak any differently? But I think it's a splendid sight to hear all those voices from the South, the way they speak, the way they're so welcoming, and I wish there was more like that here.
Nicole. Oh, Nicole. Hi. Are you a member at this point, or?
No, I actually wanted to join at the end of this.
Good. Well, you're in the right place to join. Would you like to speak on a topic? You can pass it since you're not a member, but it would be good if you could.
I can try. Yeah.
Sure, come on up. What would be your dream destination for a trip and why?
Is it okay if I don't use that?
Sure.
So the question is, what would be my dream destination and why? And I would say I probably probably would want to go to somewhere in Africa because I've never officially been there yet. I've been to Asia and I've been to places in Europe, and I have seen a lot about Africa, but I've just never been. I think someone was talking about taking care of like animals that like need to be rehabilitated in Africa, and I actually watch a few things on YouTube related to that. I watch this one person who goes to South Africa, and he's involved with this place called the Cheetah Experience, and they basically take care of cheetahs and like rehabilitate them and everything. And it seems really cool. He goes there and he actually like sleeps with the cheetahs, and I think that's really cool. Like I think it would be awesome to go there and kind of experience that. So yeah, I'd probably want to go somewhere in Africa.
Rivera, do you have a, Rivera, when you were on a trip, any trip you want, did you try new foods? And how has this affected what you eat now? Rivera.
Hello. When I am in a trip, I like to try new things. But right now that I changed my diet and I become almost like a vegan, it will be hard. But I love trying new things, new dishes if I go to some place that I've never been, and I enjoy trying new things. And what was the last part of the
Did you
question?
try new foods on any particular trip? And how has this affected what you eat now?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think that nothing that I can remember has ever affected the way I eat now, but probably the way I eat now has been affected mostly from my reading and seeing different people and how they eat and how they become ill, and that is how has been affecting my diet.
Great.
One more question, and Brock answered the president. Stick back there.
I have a role already, so it's our tradition for people to do table topics who don't have a role. We have Barry Court is here, and Mark Way is here.
Yeah.
And so I would propose that we give them a chance since I already have a role.
Okay.
Barry, would you like to come and say a few words to the audience? Could you describe the most unusual trip that you were on and why?
Sure. The very first job I had after I graduated from university, I was hired by Bell Labs, which is a fabulous place to work. It's a little bit like Google Labs would be today. And one of the things that they offered you was a chance to go on ski trips with fellow employees. And I learned to ski when I was with Bell Labs going on ski trips. And one of the trips that we went on, and it was to one of the New England places, I don't remember which one we went to, but there was a group from the aeronautics or aerospace sciences group at one of the locations at Bell Labs. And among the people who were on the bus with me was Arno Penzias. Anybody know who Arno Penzias was? He was the fellow who won the Nobel Prize for discovering the 3-degree background radiation that resolved how the universe began. And here I was on this 52-passenger bus, and all of his group, including their teenage children, were on it. And I had the most wonderful conversations with these fabulous people for a few hours on this bus trip, on a ski trip. So that was probably the most memorable experience I had on a holiday.
Thank you very much.
Mark?
We have one more?
Our guest and also the food bearer.
Or Sandeep? Sandeep, could you describe some of the most shocking things you experienced when you first landed in the United States?
Okay, sure.
Talking to you.
Yeah, a couple of things. I come from India, and I come from a big city in India, so it's very crowded. And I went to Rice University in Houston, but it was very quiet there. So I was like, why is everything so quiet? And I found that very shocking. In India, big cities, you see people, even late at night on the streets, and I found that there are no people, only cars, and I found that very odd. And I just wanted to go back, and I think that I really thought that it was very odd. What else?
Any customs you found?
Customs, in terms of customs, in India we have a very social. We tend to interact a lot with each other, and I found that here people or families did not interact as much. But over time, I started respecting that. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Time for one more? Mark, you. I'm going to ask you the same question. What were some of the startling things that you discovered when you first came to this country?
It goes back to about 37 years, and I landed just as Ronald Reagan got elected president. And I had followed that from Switzerland before moving here. And the whole process of the election was very fascinating. The thing that surprised me the most is I was renting a small apartment in Boston with a very young family. My son was 4 and my daughter was 2. And within a month and a half of landing, I watched TV in the morning and Ronald Reagan got shot at. And I went, this is different. And then the thing that I immediately appreciated from Ronald Reagan, and I followed him a lot because that was my first experience of a president and so forth and so on, was when he quipped to his wife Nancy, he said, honey, I forgot to duck. when he was shot at. Yeah. And that was, and what I've always appreciated about his style compared to other styles which I won't talk about tonight is the fact that he was very, very humorous. He turned things into humor, and it was a disarming humor. And that's the thing that I appreciated the most.